Lecture on chemical changes. Please write down the definition. A chemical change is when a new substance is made during a chemical reaction. You'll also need some examples. You can write down a marshmallow burning in a fire or nails rusting. You need to write this down as well. All chemical reactions have two parts. The reactants are the substances you start with, and the products are the substances you end up with. So the reactants turn into the products, and we represent that with an arrow. So some examples of chemical reactions: leaves turning color in the fall, anything burning, copper tarnishing, so you can make a list of examples of chemical changes: burning, rusting or tarnishing, digestion, photosynthesis, cooking. All of these turn items into new items. So write this down, please. When a substance undergoes a chemical change, its properties change because it's something new. So if you start out over here with an egg, a raw egg, you have a clear, gooey substance surrounding the yolk. As you chemically change it by cooking it, it turns into a white solid. Different properties than it had before. There's two different kinds of chemical changes, endothermic and exothermic. Okay, you need to explain these in words. If you can draw this, but you can also explain it in words, but you need to understand that exothermic reactions release heat to the surroundings, and endothermic reactions absorb heat from the surroundings. The reason this happens is because as an exothermic reaction happens, there's more energy stored in the bonds of what the reaction starts with, the reactants, than there is needed to form the products. So there's leftover energy, and that gets released in the form of heat. In an endothermic reaction, there is not enough energy in the reactant bonds to form the product bonds, so more energy is needed and gets sucked in from the surroundings and then put into the chemical bond. So some examples of exothermic reactions is anything burning, rusting iron. Examples of endothermic reactions: in order for food to cook, you need to put heat into it, and that will chemically change the bonds. Photosynthesis is another example. Takes in energy from the light of the sun and turns that into chemical bonds. There's something called the law of conservation of mass, which is basically stated by Antoine Lavoisier. You need to write this down. Mass is neither created nor destroyed during chemical or physical reactions. So the total mass of the reactants will equal the total mass of the products. Nothing is created, nothing is destroyed. So please write this down and draw this. This is a great example of how a chemical change occurs and nothing gets lost or nothing gets created. You start here with one molecule of the compound CH4 and two molecules of the element oxygen. When you put them together and they react, you get one molecule of carbon dioxide and two molecules of water. Notice that you start over here with one carbon atom and you end on this side with one carbon atom. You start out with 4 hydrogen atoms and you end up with 4 hydrogen atoms. And you start out with 4 oxygen atoms and you end up with 4 oxygen atoms. So the total amount of the materials stays the same. They just get rearranged into new materials, new compounds, and that's a chemical reaction.